Oi friends, Rin here. So many of you guys been telling me that you guys don't know which ones are dangerous ciphers and good ciphers, then you guys get clapped by the hunter. That's absolutely a common thing that happens when you first start the game. Now we're going to be talking about 3 different types of ciphers. The safe ciphers, the wary ciphers, and the dangerous cipher. Now the safe ciphers you guys can absolutely do. You will have the resources to your disposal if the hunter shows up. The wary ciphers are okay to do as well, but you guys gotta be more careful doing these ciphers because it could cost you if you guys are not prepared. The dangerous ciphers, I highly recommend that you guys rotate and find a better cipher, because if the hunter does pull up, you guys will not have that upper advantage. They will have a huge advantage on you, and it could end your kite within 30 seconds. And you guys don't want that for your team. Now, 2 things to know. 1, I will be only talking about ranked maps, okay? So no Golden Cave, no White Sand Street Asylum, and stuff like that. The second thing is that rescuers can do dangerous ciphers, but something to keep in mind. That does not mean the hunter will not try to hit you. They will still try to get at least 1 hit on you, okay? So you gotta be careful. Just because you're a rescuer does not mean you guys will be ignored. If they get that hit on you, it means 2 things. 1, you guys are gonna not save anymore, so you guys have to get healed, which wastes time, meaning that 2 players are not decoding and you're wasting time healing. And 2, if you guys choose to not get healed, that means you guys can no longer save. And 3, they might pursue you, and that might mean you're screwed. So be very careful if you're a rescuer doing a dangerous cipher. Now I'll be breaking this video into 3 parts. So the first one, which is now, I'll be talking about only 3 different maps. These are the 3 small maps of the game. So Red Church, Arms Factory, and Ever Sleeping. The other 2 video will be about the bigger maps. So anyways guys, remember to leave that like, do subscribe if you guys haven't already, and definitely share with your friends. Let's get started. The first map that we are going to talk about is Red Church. Now this map is fairly small and I like it a lot because I don't have to rotate as often, and I'm really lazy to rotate. But anyways guys, so the first cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a dangerous cipher for really good reasons. So let's say you start on the cipher, right? The hunter will come from either 2 directions. This direction right here or small shed. Now if they come from this direction, you guys would obviously rotate to small shed. If they come from small shed, you guys would rotate this direction, right? Now let's say they rotate from this direction, so you guys would have to rotate to small shed. Now here is the problem. The problem here is that you're in an open area, right? And the distance from here to small shed is very large, meaning that if you guys get spotted late, you guys will give them that free hit, which means one thing: your kite can end within 30 seconds, and that's really bad for your team. And you guys do not want this to happen. And plus, there is no pilot to your disposal. So it's a really bad transitioning area. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that if they do come from small shed, you guys would obviously rotate this way. You guys will have a higher chance to survive, but why would you guys take a gamble that you guys do not have to take? Just rotate to a better cipher. Now, if the hunter does teleport on you right here, you guys only have one option, is to rotate to this pallet right here. Now, the thing about this is that, let me tell you, if you guys do not have a stunning ability, a football, an elbow pad, and stuff like that, you guys will not make it to this pallet in time before they hit you. Meaning that you guys will give them that free hit, and that's really bad for your team. Now, something to keep in mind is that yes, you guys can break this wall right here and then use broken windows. And that's only if you guys have broken windows. Plus, if it's a really good hunter, they will not let you guys use that to your advantage and they will catch up. So, if you guys are not a rescuer, I highly recommend that you guys do not do this cipher at all. Now, the next cipher that we're going to talk about is the small shed cipher. Now, the small shed cipher is considered a wary cipher, okay, for many reasons. Now, if the hunter does pull up, you guys gotta be very careful and be prepared. If they come from this way, you guys would have to rotate this way. And if they come from this way, you guys have to rotate that way. Now, the problem is that both sides are open area, so you guys have to be prepared early on. Now, you guys also gotta keep in mind is that basement can be here, so you guys gotta be very careful. Now, most of the time, you guys want to use this window to your advantage to escape the hunter. So if they do teleport, you guys will have to vault this window and escape somehow. Or compensate if you guys do not have broken windows to put you at an advantage. But it's an okay cipher to do, just be careful on this aspect. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is the one at back gate. Now, this cipher right here is considered a safe cipher. Now, you guys have windows right here. You guys have a pallet right there. You guys have another window right here. And if you guys go through this pallet, there is many pallets right there, transitioning spot right there. There are many things to your disposal and your resources, right? Now, if they do teleport, you guys can use it. You guys can make it to this pallet in time, or if you guys want to vault this window, you guys will vault in time. So it's a really safe cipher because there's many pallets, windows, and transitioning spot. Your kite will start really strongly right here. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is the cipher that's right here. Usually it's here, but it's not right now. But this cipher is considered a wary cipher for many reasons, okay? It is good if the hunter does pull up. You guys can transition to right here or transition right here. It's also considered a safe cipher. It's safe and wary because you guys can transition in time. Plus, you guys have this pallet in case they do teleport on you. But it's a wary cipher is because if the hunter does pull up, you guys are considered trapped. And if you guys spot them too late, it could cost you. So be careful doing this cipher. It's a safe/wary cipher. Now this cipher right here in particular, yes it is right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a dangerous cipher for the most obvious reasons. You're out of nowhere. There's nothing here, okay? You guys won't make it. If they teleport, you're gonna get hit. Now your only chance if they do pull up is to rotate to this cipher, this pallet most of the time. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that they can see you a mile away, and that is your only pallet at your disposal because you guys will not make it to church with anything in time. Obviously, you guys do not want to rotate right here because I made a video on this. You guys do not want to kite right here. And that is it. This is a dangerous cipher. Do not do this cipher if you guys can rotate. Now, the next cipher that we're going to talk about is the cipher right here. This cipher at graveyard is considered a safe cipher for lots of reasons, okay? So let's say you guys start decoding, the hunter does pull up. If they pull up from ceremony, you guys can rotate to near back gate and you guys can start your kite pretty strongly. If they rotate from back gate, you guys can start your kite right here if you guys want it because graveyard is a great kiting area. You guys can loop the hunters, you guys have pallets right here, you guys can play mind games with the hunter pretty well if you guys do it correctly. Now, if they do teleport, you guys still can get away in time. So this is considered a safe cipher. The next cipher that we're going to talk about is the one at ceremony. Now, wow, that's football. Now, the ceremony cipher is considered a dangerous cipher because let's have a look around, guys. You guys look around. There's a tree and a bench between a pallet. That's a really bad pallet. And a lot of hunters can hit you through these benches and stuff. And that's just really bad. Plus, like, what is this? One bench. Like, they can just walk around. So these are really bad pallets. And if you're going against a bonbon or sculpture and you guys kite here, well, you guys seal your grave already. Because this is a very strong area for them. It's crowded and there's nothing to help you. Even if you guys use this window, you're more than less likely to trap yourself right here. And you guys don't want that to happen. I mean, you guys can do that cipher at your own risk. But honestly, just rotate to a better cipher. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is right here. Now, this is considered a wary cipher, okay? It's not dangerous, but it's a wary cipher. Because let's say you guys start on this cipher. The hunter will most likely come from this direction. Now, let's say I'm a hunter, right? If I come from this direction, either one, this is a mind game kind of cipher. Either one, I predict that you go this way. I'm going to catch up and cut you off and hit you for that free hit. And then that could hurt your kite really poorly. Now, if you guys go this way and continue your kite, you guys will most likely go behind this pallet to start your kite and you're trapped in a way. So you're not in the best position. But you guys can play mind games with the hunter, but it's sort of a risky thing. It's absolutely fine to do this cipher, but just be careful of the mind game. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. This cipher right here is considered a safe cipher because if the hunter does pull up, regardless of the direction, you guys can start your kite very strongly. There are many pallets to your disposal, many looping areas, many transitioning areas, and you guys will have a great time here. Now, just one thing to keep in mind, it is a safe cipher, but the distance from here to this pallet right here is not the closest. So you guys have to be prepared early on. If you guys spot it too late, it could cost you. So just keep that in mind. Now the cipher that we're going to talk about next is right here, this wall cipher right here. This is considered a safe cipher as well, because if the hunter does pull up, you guys have this pallet right next to you guys already. You guys can play mind games, loop through all the way to this pallet, then start your kite very strongly right here. This is a really good kiting area because you guys can kite a very large amount of time. So just keep that in mind. Now the next cipher we're going to talk about, which is the final cipher on Red Church. It is the middle cipher. This is considered a dangerous cipher. Now most of the time you guys can do the middle cipher as a rescuer, but like I said, be very careful. You guys want to watch this exit, this exit, this exit, that window. You guys want to watch everything, okay? When you guys do a middle cipher, you guys got to keep your eyes open like an owl. Just watch every single thing, because if the hunter pulls up, you're kind of screwed. There's nothing to your disposal. You guys will not make it anywhere. Like I said, rescuers can do this, but be very aware. Also, you guys got to keep in mind, if you guys are doing the cipher, do not kite here, because literally the basement's here, and these pallets right here will not protect you. So that is all the ciphers in Red Church. The next map that we are going to talk about is Arms Factory. This is also a fairly small map, and I do like it. So the first cipher we're going to talk about is the cipher right here. This cipher is not here right now, but let's pretend it is. So this cipher is considered wary / dangerous, because yes, you guys can do this cipher, it's absolutely fine, but just be very careful, okay? The hunter will either come through shack, meaning that you guys will have to rotate and start your kite through the back. If they go from this area, from this direction, you guys will have to rotate to shack, and you guys will only rotate to shack in time if you guys spot them early on. If you guys spot them too late, you guys are gonna corner yourself through the back area, which is not the best situation, but that's only if you guys spot them early on to rotate to shack. So it's / dangerous because you guys don't have many options, okay? Rotating to the back area, there's only a window and a couple pallets over there, which are not the best pallets, so keep this in mind. If you guys can rotate, do rotate away to a better cipher, but it's fine to do, but just keep in mind, it's wary / dangerous. The next cipher we're going to talk about is the one near shack, this cipher right here. This cipher right here is considered a safe cipher. So if they do come from this direction, you're absolutely fine. You guys can start your kite going through the back area of the shack, or you guys can go through this pallet and start looping them and stuff like that. If they go through shack, you guys can drop this pallet, or you guys can play mind games with them, go through the back of shack and just loop them. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if the hunter do teleport on you, you guys will make it to this pallet on time, which is also great. So it is a safe cipher to be at. Now, the next cipher we are going to talk about is this cipher right here. It's also not here right now. But anyways, this is considered a dangerous cipher because look where you guys are. You guys are at a corner. There's literally one pallet to your disposal. Yeah, if they do teleport on you, you guys got this pallet. But you're kind of trapped, okay? They can just walk over this pallet, or just break it, then you're kind of only having these two pallets left. And a lot of hunters can have ways to hit you through these two pallets, so you guys got to be very careful doing this cipher. I don't recommend doing this cipher because you're corner carried. It is a dangerous cipher. I mean, rescuers can do it, but if they go through this direction, now you're pushed to a corner really badly. So it is considered a dangerous cipher. I highly recommend that you guys rotate to a better cipher. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. It is near the rock area. Now, this cipher is considered a dangerous cipher for obvious reasons. You guys have this pallet, but let's say you guys go through this pallet or you guys dropped it, you guys are cornered. The hunter will wait until you vault that or not vault it, but they will most likely get that free hit on you. If you guys want to rotate away, you guys will have to give them that free hit, and that's not really good on your part. So you guys will have to rotate to a better cipher if you guys can. This is considered dangerous. There's also nothing here to your disposal. You guys will not make it to that cipher on time unless you guys spot them early on. You guys won't make it to this direction either. So it's a dangerous cipher. Just rotate if you guys can. The next cipher we're going to talk about is the cipher right here. The cipher right here is considered a safe cipher because regardless of the direction that the hunter does pull up, you guys can rotate and transition away. So obviously if they go from this area, you guys can go through this pallet. If they go through this area, you guys still can rotate through this pallet. just be very careful on your mind game with the hunter. There are pallets and windows to your disposal, so use them effectively and efficiently. If they go through that area, you guys can rotate to the back. So this is a really safe cipher to be at. It just depends on how good your mind game and kiting is. Now, the next cipher what in the world? The next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. Now, this cipher right here is considered a wary / dangerous cipher. If you guys start on this cipher right here, you guys will not make it to this pallet on time if they do teleport. Your only option is to loop this pallet right here, which is not the best option, to be honest. And it's considered wary, and it's okay to do because most of the time the hunter comes from this direction. So you guys will spot them early on. So you guys do want to rotate to this pallet, you guys will make it. Or you guys want to rotate to, Arms Factory, which is absolutely fine too. But it's wary / dangerous, so be very, very careful doing this cipher. If you guys can honestly do that cipher right there, that would be the best option. But yeah, the next cipher we're going to talk about is the one in Arms Factory. Now, this cipher right here is inside Arms Factory is considered a safe cipher, okay? It's pretty obvious. If the hunter teleports, you guys will make it to this pallet. If the hunter does pull up, you guys are ready to begin your kite. This is a really good looping area. There are many pallets to your disposal. There's windows to your disposal. If they do have confined space, that's absolutely fine too. There are a bunch of pallets everywhere for your disposal, actually. You guys can transition away pretty nicely too. So this is considered a safe cipher. Now, this cipher right here is considered safe / wary because if they do teleport, you guys can make it to these pallets and stuff like that. You guys can spot the hunter early on if they do come from this direction. It's a good cipher, but it's not as good as the one in Arms Factory. It's considered wary / safe. So be careful doing the cipher. You're not absolutely safe if the hunter does pull up. So be careful on that. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. This cipher right here is considered a wary / dangerous cipher. You guys can do this cipher. It's obviously fine, but just be careful. If the hunter does pull up, you guys are going to give them that free hit if you guys spot them way too late, because you guys won't make it to any pallets in time. There is a pallet right here, but the distance is not that close, so you guys will give them that free hit. If you're spotted too late, you're in an open area, which is not the best. So if you guys are doing this cipher, make sure you guys look around a lot. Like, look everywhere. Be an owl, guys. It's a wary cipher, absolutely fine to do though. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. This cipher right here is considered a wary cipher. A wary / safe cipher. You guys usually will make it to this window on time, but if they do teleport, you guys may not make it to this window on time, actually. If they do pull up, you guys are not in the best position, but not in the worst position. So if you guys do this cipher, definitely do be careful. It's wary, but more close to the safe side. Now, the next cipher we are going to talk about, which are the last two ciphers in the match, not in the match. So the next cipher we're going to talk about is this middle cipher, okay? This is considered a safe and a wary cipher because, yes, you guys have many pallets to your disposal. You guys can loop the hunter, play mind games with them. It's actually a really good place to kite, and you guys can waste a lot of time of the hunter if you guys kite here correctly. There's also pallets right there. You guys can transition anywhere you guys want in the map from this area, which is really nice. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it's considered wary because if the hunter pulls up, you guys do not know which direction. So you guys have to keep an open eye to see where the hunter is coming from, so you guys can rotate correctly. Now, if you guys spot them incorrectly, you might run into them, which is really bad. So it's safe and wary at the same time. So keep that in mind. But, most of the time when you guys start the match, don't do Decipher. I mean, a rescuer, yes, you guys can obviously do it. It's absolutely fine. But if you're not a rescuer, don't be brave and do Decipher. Not worth the gamble or risk. Now, the last cipher is right here, which is obviously not right here right now. But this is considered a dangerous cipher. It's really obvious why. There's nothing. Teleport, you're screwed. If the hunter pulls up, you're literally in plain sight. So you guys will have to spot them early on. If you guys do not spot them early on, free hit like always, guys. If you guys are a rescuer, absolutely fine to do, but always be prepared. Always be prepared if they do pull up, so you guys can plan that extra strategy. But there's nothing to your disposal. You guys will not make it anywhere from running distance. So you guys gotta have an ability, elbow pad, football, stunning ability, stuff like that. So be prepared if you guys do this cipher. But in the end, it's still considered a dangerous cipher. And that is all the ciphers in Arms Factory. The next map we are going to talk about is Ever Sleeping Town, and by no means this is a small map, because it isn't. Now I only said that so I can fit it into this guide, so let's just go with it. Anyways, so the first cipher we're going to talk about is obviously not here right now, but we're going to pretend it's there. So the cipher is near this building and in this corner. Now this cipher is considered a safe cipher for many reasons. If the hunter does teleport on you, you guys will make it to this pallet on time, which guarantees that you guys will not give them that free hit, and you guys can loop them here and start your kite with these 2 pallets if you guys wanted to, or you guys can transition away over here or start looping them through the building. It just really depends on how you kite. Now, if you guys see them from a visible distance from this direction, you guys can start your kite through this area, go up the building, play mind games, loop them, or just transition away. It really depends on you. Now, if they come from this direction, you guys can plan your exit strategy through here, transition away, or just loop the hunter through the building and play more mind games. Now, this tells you guys one thing. This area is actually a really good kiting area, so this cipher right here is considered safe. But there's one thing to keep in mind, guys. The basement might be here. So if the basement is here, you guys do not want to kite here for too long, because if you guys get knocked here, you guys will be trapped in basement, and we all know how that goes. Now the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. This is considered a safe/wary cipher. Now let me explain. If the hunter does teleport on you, you guys will not make it up here on time. You guys will give them that free hit if you guys do try. Now you guys can go through these 2 pallets, but they're not the best pallets in the world, as you guys can see, because you're technically corner carried and you guys are put in a bad position. Now you guys can also take the risk of going to this pallet right here when they do teleport, but not the best pallet, as you guys can see. Now you guys see them from a visible distance, it's considered a safe cipher. Let's say you guys see them from this direction, you guys can start looping through this building, playing mind games, or transition away if you wanted. Now you guys see them from this direction, you guys can go through the building and play more mind games. This is actually a really good kiting area. But the problem is it becomes a wary cipher if they do have teleport, so keep that in mind. It's absolutely fine to do, it's actually safe to do, but there are precautions that you guys should keep in mind. Now this cipher right here, obviously not here, it's considered a wary cipher. Now this cipher right here, it's considered wary is because if they do teleport, you guys can make it to this pallet in time, but like I said, not the best pallet in the world. You guys cannot transition to this area, you're taking a gamble and a risk. You guys might give them that free hit, but I mean, even if you guys do make it, not the best position. But that's probably your only chance at this point. Or you guys cannot make it to this area actually. You guys will not make it to this area in time if they do teleport, so don't even try that. Now, it's considered a wary cipher, and it's not the worst cipher in the world, and you guys still can do it. It's absolutely fine, because if they come from a visible distance, you guys can start your kiting area. So if they come from this direction, you guys can go through this area. If they go through this area, you guys can go make your way to the middle or kite through the building. It's up to you. It's just not a dangerous cipher. You guys can still make it viable. Just be careful on it, you know? So the next cipher we're going to talk about is very far away actually. Now, this cipher, wow. This cipher right here is considered a safe and a wary cipher at the same time. Now let me explain. It's a safe cipher if you guys see them from a visible distance. So if they come from that direction, you guys can obviously, you know, maneuver yourself and rotate around this area. Or if they come from this area right here in this direction, you guys can maneuver yourself this way. Obviously, you guys do not want to run that way because you're running into the open, and that's not the best choice. But it becomes a wary cipher because if they do in turn teleport to you, you guys can make it to this these 2 pallets. But you guys got to be careful, because if they do hit you, you only have an option, 2 options right here. Go to this area, so you're gonna have to make your way all the way to this pallet and start your kite. Or if they do hit you and you're near this area, you're gonna have to rotate through this area, which is actually, this pallet right here is actually really bad, but this area right here is actually a pretty good kiting area. Technically you're trapped here, but you guys can make it really efficient if you guys do it correctly. So just keep that in mind. It's a wary cipher if they do teleport. It's a safe cipher if you guys see them from a visible distance. So obviously can do this cipher, just be careful and be cautious. The next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a wary cipher also, because if they do teleport, you're not in the best position in the world. I mean, you guys can try to gamble and take the risk of going to this pallet, but you guys might get hit, so not the best option in the world. If you guys see them from a visible distance, you guys can obviously rotate. So you guys see them from this direction, obviously rotate through this area. See them from this direction, still rotate through this area. You guys see them from this direction, obviously rotate through here. Now, the thing about this is that when they do teleport, you're not in the best position because you guys cannot make it to anywhere. Your best chance is that window or that pallet, but it's still a risk. So be cautious when you're doing this cipher. Now, the next cipher we're going to talk about is actually a really strange cipher. So the cipher all the way over here, this cipher right here, is considered dangerous and a wary cipher, okay? It's weird about this cipher is that you guys want the hunter to teleport on you, okay? It's actually a lot better that they do teleport on you than a visible distance. So let me explain. So if they go through a visible distance from this direction, you're trapped. You guys do not want to run through that direction because you guys won't make it. This area is a legit open playing field and you guys don't want to go through there. That's the free hit guaranteed. Now if you guys see them from that direction, you guys are still technically trapped. I mean, you guys will try to make it to this area, but that means you guys will have to spot them early on. If you guys spot them too late, you're kind of screwed and you're trapped. So you guys don't want to kite here. I made a video on this part too. So not the best situation you guys are in if you guys are starting on this cipher. Now in turn, if they do teleport on you, assuming that you dropped this pallet already, in turn you guys can make it to this pallet on time, drop it, and create that distance for you guys to make it to this area. So it's actually better that they do teleport on you than if they see you from a visible distance, because if they teleport on you, you guys can escape and put it to your advantage, but if they walk to you in a visible distance, you're corner carried. So just keep that in mind. Now the next cipher we're going to talk about is the next cipher we're going to talk about is the cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a wary cipher. Yes, you have these two pallets, but if you guys go through these pallets, you guys can see you guys are technically trapped. They don't really necessarily need to break them. They can just walk around them and stuff like that. It's a wary cipher, not a dangerous one, because you guys still have these pallets to your disposal. You guys can take the risk of going to this pallet area, but you guys need an ability, because if you guys don't, you guys will give them that free hit, and which is really bad. It's a wary cipher, like I said, not the worst. There are pallets to your disposal. You guys can transition in time, but just be careful doing this cipher. The next cipher that we are going to talk about is this cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a safe cipher for many reasons. If the hunter in turn does teleport on you, you guys can make it to this window on time and vault it and start your kite right here. Now this is a decent area to kite at because there are many pallets to your disposal. It's not the best because you guys will not last too long here if you guys try to force it. Just keep that in mind. Now if the hunter does come from a visible distance from this direction, you obviously can go to graveyard or go in this direction. Now if they come from this direction, you guys can go to graveyard or just transition away through this direction. It really depends on how you guys play. So in the end, it is a safe cipher to do. Now the next cipher is at graveyard. So this cipher right here is considered a safe cipher. Absolutely safe to do, because if they do teleport, obviously you guys will make it to this pallet on time, or you guys want to make it to this pallet on time. It really depends on you. Now you guys can kite here pretty decently. Like I said, not the best area, but you guys still can kite here. Now when you guys can, try to transition away to a better kiting area, usually preferably vaulting to this window, then transitioning away when you guys can. Another thing to keep in mind is that the basement may be here, so you guys do not want to kite here too long if the basement is here, because if you guys get knocked here, we know how that always goes. So the next cipher we're going to talk about is the cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a wary cipher for the reason that if the hunter does in turn teleport on you, you guys are not in the best position, but you guys are not in the worst position because you guys still can make it to these two pallets. They are pretty decent pallets if you guys use them correctly. It's not dangerous because there are these two pallets to your disposal. You also can vault this window too, and that's another thing to keep in mind. If you guys see them from a visible distance, you guys can transition away. So you guys see them from this direction, go this way. If you guys see them from this direction, obviously go this way. So it's considered a wary cipher, absolutely fine to do, just be careful. Now the next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. Now this cipher right here is considered a wary cipher. Now if they do teleport on you, you only have these two pallets, right? Now these two pallets are not the best pallets in the world, but not the worst, okay? You guys can see the distance are very short between each side. Hunters can easily go around them. They don't even need to break them. So you're not in the best position. You guys will also not make it to these pallets right here, that pallet right there, through this area, unless you guys have an ability. But you guys can also transition to this kiting area if you guys want to try to make it to building. But like I said, you guys will need to use an ability. So this is considered a wary cipher. At the end of the day, absolutely fine to do, but just be careful because you guys will be spotted since you're literally in the open. It's pretty easy to spot you. It's not a dangerous one, but it is a wary cipher, so keep that in mind. The next cipher we're going to talk about is this cipher right here. It is considered a dangerous cipher for obvious reasons, actually. You're literally in the middle of the map. There's nothing to your disposal, actually. Yes, there are pallets right there. You're like, Rin, there's pallets. What are you talking about? The thing is that if you guys go to this cipher early on, the hunter will easily spot you and you guys will be chased. And you guys will be put in a bad position because you're getting caught early on. Now, you guys do this late game, you guys are also in a bad position because if they know this is the last cipher, then they will just easily camp this cipher. So rescuers can do this cipher, but just be careful doing this cipher. But if you guys are not a rescuer, highly recommend to rotate to a better cipher to waste more of the hunter's time to find you than getting caught and spotted at this cipher right away. I mean, yes, it is safe if they see you from a visible distance, so you guys can rotate pretty easily and nicely. So if you are seen from this direction, you guys can obviously rotate through this way. If you're seen from this direction, you obviously can rotate through this way. It just really depends, but most of the time, this is a dangerous cipher and highly avoid and rotate if you guys can. Do not start on that cipher and be a hero or just be lazy. Rotate, guys. Rotate to a better cipher. This cipher right here is considered a wary cipher. It can be safe if they are coming to you, but it's wary because the judgment comes down to the hunter and you. If they play mind games with you, you will give them that free hit. So let's say they pull up on you, right? From a visible distance, you get that heartbeat, they're coming up, and you vault this window, and they know you're vaulting this window, so they will drop down the hole and chase you in the open, and you guys will give them that free hit. Unless, like I said, obviously an ability. Now, if they do teleport on you, it's a wary cipher, not dangerous, because you guys can vault this window in time. When you guys do this cipher, it comes down to mind games. So it's a wary cipher, absolutely fine to do, just be very careful when you guys do it. Be aware of your surroundings, guys. Do not get tricked by the hunter knowing that you guys will drop down, or they might blink on you and terror shock you while you guys vault this window. So just be careful doing this cipher. And that is all the ciphers in Ever Sleeping Town. Hey guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this, and hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Like I said, any dangerous ciphers that I did mention, definitely do rotate to a better cipher, because you guys rather waste that 10 seconds of your time to go to a better cipher than getting caught early on and going down within 30 seconds. You guys can see which trade is definitely better. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that this is only part 1. Now, if you guys did enjoy this part 1 and you guys want part 2 and 3, definitely remember to leave that like, definitely do subscribe if you guys have not already, and definitely do share with your friends. And let me know in the comments that this was helpful. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys all next time.